Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Further to continue with the deciphering of the Quran and my previous presentation Qiyamah started. Today, with the knowledge bestowed on me by the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let me show you the images of our creator, who is the lone creator of the universe, whose name is Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, God and Allah. First of all, I request you to watch this video completely without skipping for a proper understanding of it. In my previous presentation, Qiyamah started, I have shown you that the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has divided the earth into three zones as earth, sky and heaven, as you can see in this slide. Also shown you that in future all the continents are going to assemble near the polar region, forming a supercontinent to which the creator called the Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga. And also informed you that the Qiyamah has started and the major signs of Qiyamah are going to start in few months. The present human enactment is related to this event. Also shown you the designated land of Jannah for this present human enactment. Continuing further from that point, today let me show you more details about the Jannah and also show you few more signs that the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has created on the earth. This time, let us start with China. In Chinese mythology, it is mentioned that there are 8 pillars called the 8 pillars of the sky, which are holding the heaven. As part of the enactment for the earth has created these pillars at the Zhangjiajie National Park, China, as you can see in this slide. It is also considered that the 8 mountains of the China could be the pillars of the sky. The Kunlu mountain is one among these 8 mountains and is considered as the Taoist paradise. Further, the Kunlu functions as a ladder which could be used to travel between earth and heaven. Let us take the help of Google Map or Google Earth to check these details like how I have shown you in my previous presentations. Now, let us focus to the Kunlu mountain region. For a comfortable climbing, the ladder should be in an inclined position. Therefore, let us begin with the Hinlian Shan mountain, which is the eastern part of the Kunlu mountain, which appears to be in an inclined position. If you zoom further and observe carefully, these mountains appear like a ladder as shown in this slide. As already mentioned, the pillars of the sky are 8 in numbers. Therefore, these 8 extensions of the Kunlu mountain are the 8 pillars of the sky. It is also said that the base of the Kunlu mountain is buried deep into the earth and the upper portions reaches the sky. As you can see in this slide, the Kunlu mountain falls under the earth segment which appears to be buried deep in the earth. Now, let us check whether the top portion of the Kunlu mountain reaches the heaven segment or not. To check this, we have to focus on the western portion of the Kunlu mountain. But there is a break in the continuity of the Kunlu mountain at this point, which is shown in the rectangle in this slide. Then the question is, what is the name of the remaining portion of the Kunlu mountain? To know the name of this remaining segment of the Kunlu mountain, we have to understand the Indian mythology. In Indian mythology, it is known as the Meru Parvat, where the meaning of the Meru in Sanskrit is high and Parvat means mountain, meaning high mountain. It is also believed in the Indian mythology that the Mount Meru is a stairway to the Swarga. As you can see in this slide, it appears like there is a sudden rise in the continuity of the Kunlu mountain and it also appears like a ladder as shown earlier. It is believed in the Indian and Chinese mythology that the Mount Meru is the residence of gods and all other immortals. According to the Chinese mythology, the Taoist immortals Xian visits the heaven by means of flying on the back of a magical dragon. Here, in this slide, you can see the magical dragon formed at the western end of the Kunlu mountain. This is a location map to identify the Mount Meru, where the Mount Meru is situated at the top of a stupa, which is carried by elephants, which are standing on a tortoise, which is resting on a snake. All these details are matching with this location as shown in this slide, which includes India, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan, where you can see a stupa carried by elephants which are standing on a tortoise. Here, the snake represents the mountain chain. On top of it, Mount Meru is located. But first let us see whether the top of the Kunlu mountain takes us to the heaven or not. After reaching to the top of the Kunlu mountain, one can see the Tian Shan mountains, and beyond it one can see a vast area which is the heaven. Yes, after climbing the 8 pillars of the sky and the Mount Meru, one can reach the heaven. In this vast area, if you see carefully, on the eastern side you can see something which resembles a lotus. See, it resembles a lotus, as you can see in this slide. If you rotate this lotus symbol by 90 degrees in an anti-clockwise direction, you can see the Hindi alphabet A. If you carefully observe, it also makes the Hindi alphabet U. On the top of this figure, you can see the Chandra Bindu as you can see in this slide. If you combine all these three symbols, it forms the letter Om, as you can see in this slide. Then the question is, what is Om? If you observe carefully, the tail of the Om is extending from the heaven segment to the earth segment, including the sky, as you can see in this slide. Then the question is, what is that encompasses all the three realms of the world, the heaven, the earth, and the sky? To know the answer for this question, we have to refer the Gayatri Mantra and the Ayatul Kursi, the verses of the throne. The first line of the Gayatri Mantra, Om Bhur Bhuva Swa, says that the Om is encompassing the earth, the sky, and the heaven. Similarly, the verses of the throne in Quran says that his throne extends over the heaven and the earth. As you can see in this slide, the Om is extending from the heaven to the earth, passing through the sky. Yes, Om is the symbolic representation of the throne of the lone creator of the universe, whose name is Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, God, and Allah. Let me tell you one thing here. The story of origin of the Om and the Samudra Manthan is related to the formation of the mountains of the world. Similar to the 8 pillars of the sky of the Kunlu mountain, there is one more pillar present in the West Asia which runs from Israel to Turkey. As I have shown you in my previous presentation, story of Jacob, history of the sun, that during its journey, the sun has built an altar and erected a pillar next to it in the constellation Ariga, which is a gateway to the heaven, as mentioned in the book of Genesis, chapter number 28, verse number 17. As an enactment for the earth, the tectonic plate representing the prophet Jacob has built an altar and erected a pillar next to it in the form of the Sinai Peninsula and the mountains running from Israel to Turkey along the coast of Mediterranean respectively. This indicates that the mountains running from Israel to Turkey along the coast of Mediterranean are the stairway to the heaven as shown in this slide. The shape of the Sinai Peninsula exactly matches with the constellation Ariga, as you can see in this slide, indicating the Sinai Peninsula is the real Israel. Similarly, as part of the human enactment, the prophet Jacob has built an altar and erected a pillar in Jerusalem. This indicates that Jerusalem is the gateway to the heaven, in particular the Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of Rock. This is the reason why Jerusalem is an important sacred place for everyone. As you can see in this picture, there are 5 peaks present in the throne of the Allah. These 5 peaks are the peaks of Mount Meru, which are the abode of Devatas, who are none other than the prophets. This is the reason why the temple of Angkor Wat is having 5 shikaras. These peaks also appear like a stairway which leads to the highest level of the heaven. Now, let us begin our journey to explore the details present in these peaks and heaven in particular. As soon as you reach the sky after climbing the stairs from Jerusalem, you can enter into the first peak of the Mount Meru, which is in the form of a triangle where the prophet Idris is residing, who is none other than the prophet Enoch, who is also known as the prophet Ganesha. This Jannah is represented by the Caucasus Mountains. This is the eye of providence within a triangle where the eye of providence is an eye of the prophet Ganesha. This is the second peak of Mount Meru, represented by the Elburz and Kopet Dag mountain range of Iran and Turkmenistan. In the second Shikhara, the Prophet Jesus and the Prophet Yahya are existing. As you can see in this slide, the names of Prophet Jesus and Prophet Yahya are written in Arabic at this place. The third peak of Mount Meru is represented by the mountain ranges of Uzbekistan, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. This is the most important Shikhara as it is the central Shikhara among the 5 peaks where the Prophet Vishnu is residing. Here, the avatar of Vishnu is in the form of Ranganatha, as you can see in this slide, where the Prophet Vishnu is in a resting position, which is called the Anantashayana, where he is sleeping on the Adisesha snake coil. In fact, here the floor of this peak is having an extended platform, and Prophet Vishnu is the lord of this platform. This is the reason why he is known as Ranganatha. Before moving further, I would like to show you more details regarding the Mount Meru, especially related to the third peak. Here, at the third peak, if you slightly zoom out, you will see this. Do you see somebody's portrait here? No? If you draw few lines along the lines drawn by the creator, you will see this image. By the way, whose image is this? This is the image of the Prophet Dhulkarnain, who is none other than the Prophet Ranganatha, an avatar of Vishnu. Yes, the Prophet Dhulkarnain is none other than the Prophet Ranganatha. It is mentioned in the Chinese and Indian mythology that the 4 faces of the Mount Meru are made up of crystal, ruby, gold and lapis lazuli. Similarly, in the Middle Eastern mythology, it is mentioned that the Mount Kaf is made of emerald. Here, if you zoom at the forehead portion of the Prophet Ranganatha's image, you will see this image which appears to be made up of gold, jade, ruby and lapis lazuli. Also, it is stated that the Mount Meru is adorned with exotic plants and herbs growing in caves. If you carefully observe this slide, it appears like a painting where you can see a cave within which you can see plants and herbs. If you zoom here, which is known as the Pamir knot, you will see this image which appears like a conch shell known as Shankha in India. From this, we can understand that the Prophet Ranganatha was wearing a conch shell on his forehead or wearing a headband mounted with a crystal called Shamantakamani, which resembles a conch shell. These are the images of the Prophet Ranganatha, who is none other than the Prophet Dhulkarnain, who was wearing a crown containing the horns of a deer. These are few more images of the Prophet Dhulkarnain. It is from here that all the mountain ranges spread in different directions, which covers the entire world. Similarly, it is stated in the Chinese mythology that the founder of Chinese empire is residing in the Mount Meru. This indicates that during the time of the Prophet Ranganatha, human beings spread from this location to the different parts of the world. It is also stated in the Chinese mythology that the Jade King resides at the top of the pillars of the sky. If you zoom further at the heart portion of the Prophet Ranganatha's image using the Google Earth, you will see the peak Oktoberski, which appears to be green in color. If you draw lines over the sketch of the creator, you will get the beautiful image of Prophet Ranganatha in a sleeping posture. This image of Prophet Ranganatha appears to be green in color, and because of this, he is mentioned as the Jade King in the Chinese mythology. This could be the major hub of the civilization before the Indus Valley civilization in this area, as a seal belonging to the Indus Valley civilization contains the details of empire of Prophet Ranganatha. This is the image of the Prophet Vishnu, who is none other than the Prophet Dhulkarnain, as shown in my previous presentation, Prophets Revealed. In fact, this is the image of Prophet Ranganatha, who is none other than the Prophet Dhulkarnain. In fact, this seal is a map showing the extent of Prophet Ranganatha's empire. The boundary of the empire is shown with these animal symbols which are present on the earth that are created by the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the extent of the Prophet Dhulkarnain's empire. This is the image of the rhinoceros present in the northwestern corner, which is located adjacent to the Caspian Sea. This is the image of bull. present in the southwest corner, which is located in the eastern part of Iran. The image of elephant present in the northeastern corner is located at Astana in the northeastern part of the Kazakhstan. The image of half tiger present in the southeast corner is located in the Kunlu mountain near the western margin of the Tarim basin. The leg of the throne is represented by the Hindu Kush mountains of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The inverted Y present at the center of the throne corresponds to the Bias and Sutlej rivers. This could be the image of a snake present at the eastern part of India. The southern boundary is marked by a deer which is standing under the throne. This is an image of a variety of deer called Sambar or Sambara, which could be called as Shambhala during those days. You can see more images of the Sambar deer in this area as shown in this slide. The southern boundary is extended up to the Nilgiri hills in the south, flanked by western Ghats and eastern Ghats, which forms a valley-like formation. This valley is known as the Shambhala Valley during those days. Here also you can see an image of a head of Sambar deer as you can see in this slide. If you zoom further and watch carefully at the bottom of the Shambhala Valley, you can see an image of a cheetal, which is a variety of deer. You can say that it is an avatar of Sambar which represents the Prophet Vishnu. Yes, you guessed correctly. The cheetal is a future avatar of Sambar representing the Kalki. Yes, the Kalki avatar, who is none other than the Mahdi, the Mashiach, the Messiah, will come shortly from this place, inshallah, in the human form. This is an image of the Kalki avatar as drawn by the creator. Let me show you something very interesting. If you take a picture of India and rotate it by 90 degrees in an anti-clockwise direction, it resembles a Sambar deer which represents the Prophet Dulkarnain, who is none other than the Prophet Ranganatha, an avatar of Vishnu. The Sambar began its journey from the West Asia and ran up to eastern margins of the China and then returned back to the Central Asia, where it concluded its journey as shown in these slides. This indicates that the humans started migration from this area of Mediterranean Ocean towards east, reached up to eastern margins of China, and finally settled in the Central Asia. The symbols present at the top of the seal are the boundaries of the neighboring empires. The first symbol in the form of a man is related to the North American continent with few northern parts of Asia, which is an avatar of Parashurama, whereas the second symbol represents the South American continent. The third symbol is a representation of Arabia, Africa, and parts of Europe. The fourth symbol represents the Antarctica, and the sixth symbol represents the Arctic Ocean. The fifth symbol is the Pacific Ocean and its adjoining area, but more research is required to confirm it. This indicates that the people of that time knew about the different parts of the world. It is amazing to know that the people of Indus Valley civilization or the people of Prophet Ranganatha's time knew about these earth features and their exact locations. All these details confirms that this seal is a map of Prophet Ranganatha's empire. The symbol of rhinoceros and the bull are the northern and western boundaries of Akhanda Bharat. The limits of the remaining eastern and southern boundaries of Akhanda Bharat can be obtained by the extent of Prophet Shiva and Prophet Rama's empires. The fourth peak of the Mount Meru is represented by the Altai mountain where the Prophet Shiva is residing. This is an image of Prophet Shiva located in this fourth Shikara of Mount Meru. The fifth peak of Mount Meru is represented by the Stanavoy upland where the Prophet Narasimha, who is none other than the Prophet Ibrahim, is residing, as you can see in this slide. If you carefully observe, the peak of Mount Meru where the Prophet Ranganatha is residing is at the center. This indicates that the earlier shown seal of Indus Valley is not only the location map of Prophet Ranganatha's empire, it also the location map of the Mount Meru, as his empire is at the center of the earth as mentioned in the Indian books. The Mount Meru is the Mount Kaf mentioned in the Middle Eastern mythology. In addition to the earlier mentioned 5 peaks, there are 3 more peaks totaling to 8 peaks. Among these 3, the first one is occupied by the Prophet Adam, the second one is occupied by the Prophet Moses and Harun. The third peak is occupied by the Prophet Muhammad. All these 8 peaks are known as the levels of the Jannah in Hadiths, and each are ranking higher and higher in position. These are the names of the levels of the Jannah as mentioned in Hadiths. In addition to these 8 major levels, there are many more smaller levels where other prophets are residing. All these information indicate that the peak of the Mount Meru are different levels of Jannah, the Swarga, belonging to different prophets. According to the Bhagavata Purana as mentioned in Wikipedia, the Kailasha is situated south of Mount Meru. This indicates that the Kailasa is south of Kunlu mountain. If we zoom here, we will get the Mount Kailash at this place. This is an image of Mount Kailash obtained from the Google map. This is a photograph of Mount Kailash taken from Google. For a better view, use the Google Earth images as shown in this slide. The Mount Kailash is having 4 faces, and on each face there is an image of Prophet Shiva. This is the first face, and if you draw few lines and observe carefully, the images of Prophet Shiva and Parvati appear clearly. Each image is occupied one half of the Mount Kailash. This is the reason why the Prophet Shiva is known as Ardhanarishwara. This is the second face, and here you can see a side face of sleeping Shiva. Moreover, you can also see a side face of sleeping Shiva in the background as well. This is the third face, and here once again you will see an image of Ardhanarishwara. This is the fourth face, and here you can see a complete face of the Prophet Shiva as you can see in this slide. If you zoom out, you will get one more image of the Prophet Shiva where he is seeing in meditating posture. This is the same place but captured during the summer. This indicates that different seasons produce different images of Prophet Shiva. If you zoom out further, you will get this image where the Prophet Shiva is sleeping by spreading his hair and capturing Ganga in it. And further zooming out, you will get this image where the Prophet Shiva and Parvati are resting. If you change the viewing angle, you will get this image where the Shiva is performing the Tandav Nritya. If you zoom to this area, which is right in front of the Mount Kailash, you will get this image. One image is of a bull called Nandi, and the other image is of a snake called Vasuki, as you can see in these slides. The Mount Kailash is having a shape of a cube and black in color. In fact, this is the Kaaba for earth, meaning house of God. Yes, this is the Kaaba and Qibla for the tectonic plates, which are mentioned as man and woman as shown in my previous presentations. This is built by the Prophet Shiva, who is one of the sons of Prophet Ibrahim. According to the book of Genesis, chapter number 11, verse number 29, chapter number 16, verse number 3, and chapter number 25, verse number 1, Abraham had 3 wives, Sarah, Hagar, and Keturah. At his old age, Prophet Abraham sent the sons of Keturah towards east, as mentioned in the Genesis, chapter number 25, verse number 6. As an enactment for the earth, the Indian plate was detached from the Africa, representing the sons of Keturah, and migrated towards east and finally collided with the Eurasia, forming the Himalayas and Kailash range. During this process, they built the Mount Kailash, where it is present now. The place where the images of Nandi and Vasuki are situated is the Maqam Ibrahim, where the Prophet Ibrahim, who is none other than the Prophet Narasimha, as shown in my previous presentation, Evolution of Life, was standing. The Narasimha is a combination of reptile and mammal, which is figuratively shown as Nandi, a bull, which is a mammal, and Vasuki, a snake, which is a reptile. This structure is the footprint of Prophet Ibrahim, who is none other than the Prophet Narasimha. There is a mention of one more incident related to this place, which is mentioned in the Quran in chapter number 105. The chapter number 105, verse number 1 states that, "Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant?" The question is, who are these people of elephants? The scholars consider that the story of Abraha is the one which is explained in this chapter. According to this story, the Abraha has attacked the Kaaba with the help of elephants. At this time, Allah has sent the flocks of birds to protect Kaaba, which stormed the big clay stones on the army of Abraha. The entire army was succumbed to this attack and died. Yes, there is a human enactment of the events that occurred for the earth. The real incident is related to this land and Mount Kailash, which is Kaaba for the tectonic plates. This is an image of elephant and Abraha, who could be the forefather of Kauravas for this land. In fact, you can see many images of elephants in this area, where few elephants are shown in this slide. The chapter number 105, verse number 3 states that Allah sent the birds against them in flocks. This is an image of the birds in flocks which Allah sent against the companions of the elephants. This is an image of one more bird. This is the image of one more bird carrying a stone in its legs to strike against the companions of the elephants, as mentioned in the chapter number 105, verse number 4. These colorful birds are the King Neo birds mentioned in the Chinese mythology. All these verses indicate that this land of Eurasia has exerted pressure against the incoming Indian plate. Due to this pressure, there was a possibility of destruction of the Mount Kailash. To prevent this threat, the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has made the land to get folded to resist the force. The land representing the birds is acting like a buffer between the land of the elephants and the Mount Kailash. During this time, the volcanic bombs might have been hurled on this land of elephants, or the land might have got punctured from below because of the rising magma. Then the question is, if this is the elephant land exerting pressure and this is the land which is resisting the pressure, then where is Kaaba? Yes, the Mount Kailash is the Kaaba as mentioned earlier. In fact, this is the Bakka mentioned in the chapter number 3, verse number 96, which is the Qibla for the humans earlier as a human enactment of this event. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 3, verse number 97 that the standing place of Ibrahim is there as a clear sign. As already I have shown you, this is the standing place of Ibrahim, which is a clear sign shown by the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All these details confirm that the Mount Kailash is the Kaaba, meaning house of the God for the earth. This is the reason why nobody is allowed to climb on the top of the Mount Kailash till today. The Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering to make a pilgrimage to the Mount Kailash to whomsoever it may be possible in the chapter number 3, verse number 97. This is the reason why people from India make a pilgrimage to this place. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 3, verse number 97 that whoever enters it shall be safe, indicating whichever tectonic plate will be subjected at this place will be safe, meaning it will not be pushed down to the mantle, which is figuratively mentioned as the hell. This confirms that this is the point where the Indian plate began to subduct. As I have mentioned in my previous presentation, Ramayana, Mahabharata are real. As a human enactment, whoever enters into it shall be safe. This is an image of Prophet Buddha representing the Himalayan mountain range. This is one more image of Prophet Buddha. If you carefully observe, you can see that the name Muhammad is written in the Mount Meru. Also, you can see that the name Allah is written in the Mount Meru, especially in the earth segment. Apart from this, it is also written as Samad, meaning the eternal, as mentioned in the chapter number 112, verse number 2. Similarly, it is also mentioned as Savitar in the Gayatri Mantra, which also means the eternal. The name Muhammad in Arabic is having 5 peaks of the Mount Meru, and the Prophet Muhammad represents the Mount Meru. This indicates that the Prophet Muhammad is the one who brought the name Allah to this world, and to reach Allah, you have to climb the stairs of the Mount Meru, which is Muhammad. If you write the name Allah in Arabic as well as in English and carefully observe, the name Allah is having 5 pillars representing the 5 pillars of the Mount Meru. Similarly, the word Samad also have 5 peaks. This is the reason why Islam is having 5 pillars of faith. All this information indicate that the Mount Meru is synonymous to Muhammad, and to enter the Jannah spiritually, you have to follow Prophet Muhammad, and to enter the Jannah physically in future, you have to cross the Tian Shan and other surrounding mountains which forms the name Muhammad. Therefore, I request everyone to follow Muhammad and worship Allah alone, who is the lone creator of the universe, to attain Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga. All these details indicate that the Indian and Chinese mythology, in fact, most of the mythological stories of the world, are the history of the land. This is the reason why I said in one of my previous presentations that the mythology is the history of the earth and humans, and do not call it a fictional story. After successfully climbing the pillars of the Mount Meru and reaching the summits of the Mount Meru, you reach the Swarga, the Jannah, the heaven. Now, let us explore the heaven to understand the other details of Jannah. To keep the video short, I will show you only few details, especially from the Prophet Muhammad's part of Jannah, which is the highest level of Jannah. It is mentioned in the chapter number 22, verse number 23, and chapter number 35, verse number 33, that the people in Jannah will wear green silk clothes which are adorned with silver, gold, and pearls. In this picture, you can see a man wearing the green colored silk clothes. Following are the images of people sitting in the Jannah wearing the green silk clothes adorned with silver, gold, and pearls. These are the images the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has created as signs to the people of knowledge. It is mentioned in the chapter number 55, verse number 54, that the people in the Jannah will be sitting reclining to the beds whose lining are of silk brocade. In this picture, you can see a person sitting on a bed leaning on the bolsters which is having a lining of silk brocade. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 22, verse number 23, chapter number 35, verse number 33, chapter number 55, verse number 54, and chapter number 83, verse number 23, and chapter number 7, verse number 43, that in the Jannah, people will be sitting reclining to bolsters on high-raised furniture, underneath which rivers are flowing. In this picture, you can see a person sitting reclining to bolsters on an armchair, underneath which rivers are flowing. By the way, whose image is this? The words Muhammad and Jannah is written in Arabic at this place, indicating it is the image of the Prophet Muhammad sitting in Jannah. This is an image of a female, possibly Khadija, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, and she is wearing hijab in front of these 3 males. This suggests that all females should compulsorily wear hijab. It is mentioned in a hadith that the angel Gabriel is so huge that he was covering the entire horizon on the east. If you move further from the part of Muhammad's Jannah towards east, you will see the angel Gabriel, as you can see in this slide. See, he is really huge, as you can see in this slide, and he is leading a group of 4 angels who are carrying the throne of Allah, as mentioned in a hadith. As already I have shown you, the throne of Allah is in the form of Om, and it also resembles the lotus flower. This is the tree called Sidrat al-Muntaha the Prophet Muhammad saw in the heaven during his Miraj journey. The most popular mantra of the Tibetan region, which is chanted by many followers of the Prophet Buddha, Om Mani Padme Hum, states that I am sitting in the Om throne. This indicates that the lone creator of the universe, whose name is Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, God, and Allah, is sitting in the Om throne, which is in the form of lotus, which is nothing but the Sidra tree. It is mentioned in the chapter number 2, verse number 255, and chapter number 20, verse number 109, that nobody can intercede with him except by his permission. It is also mentioned in a hadith that on the day of judgment, the Prophet Muhammad is in a prostration position in front of Allah. Then Allah will give permission to Prophet Muhammad to negotiate with him. In this slide, you can see the Prophet Muhammad in a prostration position. Before revealing Allah to you, let me answer to those who says that Allah does not have any physical form. It is mentioned in the chapter number 20, verse number 5, chapter number 32, verse number 4, that He established Himself above the throne. This indicates that to sit on a throne, Allah should have a physical form. Even a hadith mentioned in Bukhari, volume number 8, book number 81, hadith number 6573 says that people can see Allah on the day of resurrection in the form of they know Him. It is mentioned in the chapter number 3, verse number 77 that on the day of judgment, Allah will neither speak nor look at the wrongdoers. This indicates that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having a mouth to speak and eyes to look. It is mentioned in the chapter number 20, verse number 7 that He not only hears your loud talk, He can hear even your secrets. This indicates that He is having ears to hear. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 22, verse number 75 that Allah is hearing and seeing, indicating Allah can see and hear. According to the chapter number 5, verse number 64, Allah's hands are open and extended. This indicates that Allah is having hands. Moreover, it is mentioned in the Genesis chapter number 1, verse number 27 that God created humankind in His own image. In the image of God He created them, male and female He created them. This indicates that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having a physical form and it resembles the physical form of humans. This is the image of Allah who is magnificently sitting on the throne of the universe. I request everyone to prostrate in front of Allah and say La ilaha illallah, meaning there is no God but Allah, and Allahu Akbar, meaning Allah is the greatest. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having eyes, mouth, ears, hands and legs like humans. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having a physical form that resembles the human beings. In fact, the physical form of human beings resembles the physical form of Almighty Allah except in one thing. If you carefully observe, you can notice that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having two faces, one in the front and the other in the back. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having two faces, which is confirmed from the following verses of Quran. It is mentioned in the chapter number 2, verse number 255, chapter number 20, verse number 110, chapter number 21, verse number 28, and chapter number 22, verse number 76 that He knows what is there in the front and what is there in the back. This indicates that the Allah can see on both sides because He is having two faces. This is the reason why it is said in the chapter number 2, verse number 255 that we cannot comprehend any of His knowledge except what He wills. Presently, He is willing and making us to comprehend some of His knowledge. Hence, He has revealed Himself in front of us as a sign, as mentioned in the chapter number 27, verse number 93 that He will shortly show His signs and you will recognize them. This confirms that the Qiyamah has started. This also implies that Allah has showed His signs and now it's our turn to recognize them and start worshipping Him alone. See, the Prophet Muhammad is prostrating in front of Allah, as you can see in this slide, like how it is mentioned in the earlier quoted hadith. See, the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sitting in the lotus throne at the highest position of the Mount Meru. This is the reason why it is mentioned as money in the Tibetan mantra. This is the reason why it is said in Quran chapter number 10 verse number 3 that He is the one who created sky and earth in 6 days and then sat on His throne. He is your God. Only after His permission one can talk in front of Him. All this information confirms that Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, God and Allah are all different names of the lone creator of the universe whose real name is Allah. It is mentioned in Hadith that the angel Israfil is standing in a ready position in front of Allah, holding the trumpet in his hand by keeping it very close to his mouth. If you see in front of Allah at the level of His eyesight, you will see this image. See, here you can see the angel Israfil holding the trumpet in his right hand, holding it very close to his mouth in a ready position and waiting for Allah's signal. It is mentioned in the chapter number 78, verse number 18, chapter number 79, verse number 6 to 7, and hadiths that when the trumpet is blown, the Qiyamah starts. This indicates that when there is a sound due to meteoric impact or a volcanic eruption or both in the region of the trumpet, that will be the day of judgment, and according to the deciphered knowledge, shortly it is going to be blown. We all are extremely fortunate compared to our older generation because we are blessed to witness our Creator in this life itself. Therefore, I request everyone to worship Allah alone and believe in all His revelations, prophets, messengers, and do good deeds to attain Jannah, as we are having the last chance before rising of the sun from the west, as mentioned in my previous presentation. Qiyamah started. I want to tell all the atheists, scientists, and all those persons who says without seeing we will not believe in God that today I have shown you the God, our Creator, so now you do not have any reason to unbelieve and say we will not believe without seeing. Therefore, I request you to make use of this last chance and worship Allah alone so that you will not miss the last opportunity. Moreover, the Creator Himself is warning and ordering everyone in the chapter number 30, verse number 43, to turn firmly towards this faith before the day of resurrection comes, when there is no possibility of any remedy. I congratulate all those who believed and worshipped Allah alone without seeing Him, and request the others to believe and worship Him alone, at least now, after seeing Him. Herewith, I request all the polytheists to shun all the other gods, as they are the prophets and messengers of Allah. Moreover, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unpleased because of your actions, as they are His creations and you are worshipping them instead of Him, as mentioned in the chapter number 7, verse number 191 to 198, and chapter number 30, verse number 45. Moreover, it is also mentioned in the chapter number 16, verse number 86, that on the day of resurrection, when the polytheists sees their gods to whom they were worshipping in the earth, they will say, "These are the ones to whom we worship instead of you." But they deny and say, "You are liars." Therefore, I request you to worship only the Creator, whose name is Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, God, and Allah. At the same time, I want to tell all the idol worshippers that if at all you want to worship idols, then worship only the idol of Allah, who is none other than the Ishwar, Bhagwan, Yahweh, and God. This is the reason why the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling in Quran chapter number 20, verse number 14, and chapter number 21, verse number 92, that surely I am Allah. There is no God other than me. I am your Lord. Therefore, you all worship me alone. Moreover, in the chapter number 3, verse number 18, while affirming that there is no God worthy of worship except Him, by bearing a witness of Himself, as there is nobody superior to Him, Allah is saying that the people of knowledge will also bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. As I have already mentioned in my previous presentations that the present generation is the people of knowledge, therefore I once again request everyone to worship only Allah and do good deeds to attain Jannah. All this information implies that the religion is not different than science, and science is not different than religion. They go hand in hand and they are intertwined. In this presentation, I have tried to show some of the details regarding the heaven, but to keep the video short, I could not accommodate more details present in the other scriptures as well. Moreover, extracting all the details from all the scriptures is time consuming, but we are left with a short time. Therefore, I request the science and religious scholars to join hands with me to decipher the Quran and other scriptures within a reasonable time before it is too late, and spread the true knowledge of Allah to protect the human race. Some of you may call me madman, as mentioned in the chapter number 44, verse number 14, and some of you may also try to harm me as well. But these are the facts. This is my honest interpretation of the scriptures, but the true knowledge lies with Allah alone. All praises to Allah alone, the Lord of the universe. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.